Hello, I'm Dynast Amir.
So I reached out to another friend of mine. I said, look, I need to go on vacation somewhere. Where should I go? He said, go to Africa. And not only am I going to go, I'm going to explore a new country. So I went to Tanzania, South Africa, Namibia, Mali, Senegal, Morocco, Liberia, Namibia, Kenya, the Voodoo Festival in Ouida, Gambia, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire. Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria. It's been a beautiful experience, just learning more about our culture, our indigenous culture. So Uhuru means freedom in Swahili. I'm in search of my roots. In finding that, I would experience my Uhuru, which is freedom.
I'm out.
In honor of Black History Month, my books and ebook will be $2 off. Purchasing is available at www.saycarry.com. And you can also use my website to contact me regarding questions, comments, or to book speaking engagements. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Alexis here, coming to you with an awesome sale of 25% off when you use promo code UHURU25 at alexisfowler.com.
I provide services like digital art, logo designs, packaging designs, web designs, social media flyers, and much more. If you're an entrepreneur with a business or a startup company, make sure you take advantage of this opportunity.
Getting 25% off when you use promo code UHURU25 at alexisfowler.com.
I really love this brand because first off, the products are quality. I have amazing hydration. You guys can see the shine. You guys can see the definition.
Peace, family. I hope all is well. I hope your hump day, it's Wednesday here in Atlanta. I hope your hump day is going well. Do me a favor, hit the like button. Again, please hit the like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. A couple of announcements, really. Just one announcement. Tours. All right, we are rolling to Sierra Leone. All right, we are rolling to Sierra Leone in April, next month. It's already March 1st. Next month, we're rolling to Sierra Leone. So please go to Danfo. That's DANFO. 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 .Africa to learn more. Again, please visit Danfo, DANFO. .Africa to learn more. We greatly appreciate it. Also, we're rolling to Nigeria in August for the Oshun Festival, in Senegal in May for the Jazz Festival, and then Zanzibar in November. So please come and join us. We'd really love to have you guys. I'm waiting on my special guest. Okay, he's coming right now. Brother Terry, he's joining. Clicking the link right now. He should be here shortly. You know, I love bringing Terry on. Terry is our, I guess that would be considered, let's see here, CCO, Chief Crypto Officer. Yeah, he's our CCO. He's our resident crypto expert. So Terry will be coming on soon. Guys, listen, look at Sierra Leone. Hold on. Look at Sierra Leone. This is Sierra Leone. This beautiful country that's just been blessed by God. You know, this beautiful country that has been blessed by God, everyone. This is Sierra Leone. Come and join us in April 19th through the 30th. Also, citizenship is available to those who qualify. Again, citizenship is available to those who qualify. So please visit Donfo dot Africa. Okay, we are waiting for Terry. Again, we are waiting for Terry. So we will be right. Well, we're not going nowhere. We're here. So let's wait for Terry to come on and join us. Terry, you are with us.
Oh, yes.
Terry, thank you for joining. Everyone, this is Terry Ajayi,
Wow.
our resident crypto expert from Loggers TV. Terry, go ahead and introduce yourself, then we'll jump right into today's topic.
Okay. Hi, my name is Terry, and my username across the internet is Surpassing Google. My ambition is the world-adjusting mission of surpassing Google, and I'm glad to be here. Yes, I've also started documenting the no books. So a no book is the opposite of a book. It contains untold the things that are not contained in the books. And I've documented the first one. It covers the subject of Web3 and crypto. And there are going to be other notebooks covering every industry to create a curriculum of study for a school, which I call legitimate literacy. And surpassing Google, it refers to removing all barriers to entry from everything good so that everything good becomes available to anyone. So I've looked at the world and I see barriers everywhere. So I intend to remove barriers to entry from specific powerful industries. The first one being content. To that effect, I've created a form of content called ULOGs. That is revealing in nature, where the letter U basically stands for you. And there's going to be a search engine called on surpassinggoogle.com to rank content, which are ULOGs basically. The next industry I'll be tackling is freelancing, allowing experts and non-experts to participate in the gig economy. And the final one is macro hard, where I eventually intend to create a programming language written in an African language, even though I'm not a programmer. So, and that's the summary of what Surpassing Google is. And I'm glad to be here as well.
Hey, Terry, thank you so much for joining. So we see what's going on with Nigeria as far as, can't get money out of ATM machines, or there's a limit. There's a cash crunch. Now, I know they just released their new dollar or naira, so they have a newer naira. But, I think at one time, if not even still to present day, Nigeria, I think, was number one for Bitcoin transmittance or transactions, I think.
Yes.
So why do you think Nigeria needs Bitcoin more than ever?
Okay. Okay, so thank you for asking. That's a broad topic, and I'll try to cover that as much as possible.
Take your time. Take your time.
Okay. So, first off, we need to establish the situation. There have been limitations when it comes to everything, in Nigeria, typically, even access to money, access to the internet and all that, and even digital access to money. So, even in terms of applications like remittance apps that the rest of the world have easy access to, it's not typically available in Nigeria. For example, PayPal, every option basically that gives you access to money has limitations. You want to carry out a fundraising event, for example, to bootstrap your project, you go to GoFundMe. Nigeria is not on the list of eligible countries. You go to Kickstarter, it's the same thing. So that tells you alone the need for currencies like Bitcoin that are digital in nature, tamper-proof, borderless, that gives you the ability for true ownership. So I tried to, although this is happening quite impromptu, but I tried to quickly draft out like a path for this discussion.
Okay.
So I'll start out. Yes.
Take your time. Take your time. Go ahead.
Okay. I'll start out with I'll go a bit into the history of Bitcoin. Now, like in my notebook, I did write about Bitcoin in a whole case study where I compared it with another blockchain. So I did that in a bid to, establish the power of Bitcoin. And I don't read stuff. Perhaps I may come across it passively, but in my notebook, I tried to develop all the analogies afresh without researching the Google, much in my bid to surpass Google. So I documented that login style. And so I just have a general gist. It may not be entirely factual, like the numbers and all that. So of how Bitcoin works in comparison to the traditional money. And then after establishing how Bitcoin works, a bit of history of it, then we will establish its relevance in the lives of Nigeria, considering the limitations everywhere. And then we will touch a bit on the evolution of Bitcoin, how much Bitcoin has advanced since its inception, and also how much Bitcoin has revealed. Because I believe revelation is a powerful aspect of innovation that is undermined or underexplored. So typically, when I innovate, I always like to leave a segment for revelation. So if you look at many innovations today, they are guarded by two possibilities for the most part. I call it a Boolean. So often on money is guarded by bulls or bears, morality, good or bad. So when I innovate, I try to, and I feel that that's cagey of humans, predictive of humans. It limits them in the extent of their reaction to stimuli. It cannot capture the human essence. So I try to always add a third element that allows room for humans to be as peer-to-peer as possible, as expressive as possible, thus capturing a revelation of the true state of the world, where humans can interact within that third jurisdiction. Then some mysteries are revealed and all that. So that's also a paradigm guarding my notebook, to allow, and the form of content I created, which is ULOG, which is revealing in nature, allows humans to use the art of content creation to be peer-to-peer in nature, or as an avenue to evolve their human, rather than creating content that adopts or embraces what's popular. Okay, so that's the path that we'll be taking. And then to conclude, it will be obvious, why Nigeria needs Bitcoin and the other evolutions of Bitcoin in the form of other cryptocurrencies, and perhaps and to see whether there's need for another currency that perhaps replicates the principles of Bitcoin, but is created by Africans or is African oriented. So we'll also establish whether Bitcoin is African oriented and worthy of adoption by Africans, or whether there is need to create a replica Bitcoin that is more favorable to the African dynamics and systems. So that's the path. Yes.
Hey, Terry, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question, Terry. Well, if you could address this statement in the chat room, that cryptocurrency is a scam. Like, how would you respond to
that? Yes. We will see whether it's a scam at the end of this. People, there's power of the media and all that. There's power to the books. I say the books have been written. There needs to be a revelation of the notebooks, which I've started, and which is the role of everyone to reveal. So first off, I believe that innate to every human, there is powerful information relevant to global evolution, unique to us, innate to us, may be irrelevant to our evolution, but relevant to global evolution. So we need to uncover what's inside us and then consciously decide to reveal it. So in the same vein, when I met with media, for example, and there is a popular notion perpetrated that crypto is a scam, I see that as an avenue to exert my capacity as a human, to react to that news in a peer-to-peer fashion without third-party authorization, and then uncover what's reality. So that's what we'll be doing in this video. I'll be trying to tap into my evolution, incite evolution in whoever says it's a scam, and perhaps they will see in the aftermath that why Bitcoin is not. So I believe the question will be answered at the end of this conversation. Okay, so let's start. Let's start. Can I share my screen at this stage?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to, go ahead.
Yes. So
Go to share screen.
yes. Present. Share screen. Okay. Okay. So I'll start going back to that person as well. Let me start out with this scenario. So, typically many diasporans are returning to Africa. I see it, on YouTube, their reaction to some things that happen in Africa, let's say Nigeria, for example, that are quickly pronounced as scam. Like in my case, I'm not very fast to use the terminology scam. I prefer to see humans as evolutionary as they attempt to attain revolutionary status. So even if a human, someone, yes, so I'm not very fast to use terminologies like scam with respect to humans. So I want to give an example of a scenario because it's related to Bitcoin and what its essence. And the scenario is many in the diaspora that visit Africa and people in general that visit Africa, when they try to purchase something, for example, they face a scenario where someone is said to raise the price, high as possible. And then it's quickly tagged as scam, so I think in many cases, according to me, that's not scam. I don't categorize it as scam. I see it as an avenue to exert one's human virtues, factor your human into the trade, bring up your persuasion capabilities, because the African systems is based on barter more so than guarded by the popular financial system of things. So a place like Nigeria is not as regulated as the rest of the other places in the world, where the human is basically caged, relegated in its powers, and relevance is given to money instead, such that a trade there is no longer the factor of the human in a trade. What is of concern is just the paper. Now, in trade by barter, why I consider it, which is an African system, why I consider it more powerful than the money system of things is just that. In trade by barter, the human is factored into the trade. As such, impossibilities, as we have it in today's world, is possible in a barter. It's possible to trade, for example, a house for a phone in a trade by barter, because again, the human is factored into the trade. For example, I may be able to persuade you. That's a gift of mine. And in the course of the trade, I try to exercise my ability to persuade, and I succeed in a trade that typically is not of equal measure. So a house versus a phone. Or you may see potential in me in the future based on our short conversation, and on the basis of that, you allow the transaction to succeed. Or if you feel a spiritual connection, you feel the power of my spirit, and on that basis, the transaction goes through. Or you feel I'm connected to a king, and on the basis of that connection, my value proposition, there's a value proposition attached to my person, and then you allow the trade to go through. That is at the basis of what happens till today. Because Africans in general, as much as regulation plays a role, they have stubborn genes. The aspiration is there, the aspiration is there. Not every time is it based on a scam. So it's possible in Nigeria, for example, to go into a store that has aircon, for example, and the price of the good is 10 times what the person outside is selling it. Now, will they find customers? The answer is yes, because a typical Nigerian understands the system. He sees the value of purchasing in a store 10x higher, perhaps for the sake of a connection he can get inside the store, from the manager. Sometimes it's a factor of materialism or a respect factor. I know there is, of course, the Nigerians, they adopt Western standards, but the beauty is the peer-to-peer nature of things. It does exist in the system where people are not too wary of regulation in their transactions and interactions. Now, that is a system of things. It doesn't make it a scam. It's just different from what has become the popular system of things. So if you look at crypto, Bitcoin, for example, I would say, according to me, that it's either the creator of Bitcoin, who is anonymous, is an African, has an understanding of the African system of things, or if the person is from the West, in a bid to create comfort, for themselves, or escape the too regulated system of things, they made a mistake and created a tool that is more relevant to Africa than them. And the revelation of crypto blockchain is left to Africans to accomplish. I don't think that the West can make use of crypto and uncover it in the same fashion as an African, because again, if the West created it, they made a mistake by creating a tool that carries African principles at the basis. Now, what is the basis of Bitcoin, for example, and thus cryptocurrency in general, and also the reason for its power, the reason for why Bitcoin can be 60,000 today and then 20,000 tomorrow. There is an underlying basis for that, and we've touched on it already. It's the peer-to-peer nature of it. Now, it may not be favorable to the popular money system of things, but it is a system of things. So Bitcoin being peer-to-peer in nature means that, now referring to the cryptocurrency, anyone can set the value of Bitcoin. Again, the factor of the human comes into play, because the person who owns this Bitcoin is not wary of third-party authorization, can interact with the Bitcoin blockchain without needing third-party permission, or being worried about, YouTube, for example, can delete my how, let's say I put a trade on a platform that is centralized in nature, like PayPal or something, they can delete it or say, why is your price too high in comparison to the next person, and delete it. Those fears are alleviated in cryptocurrency atmosphere. Humans back the value of their coin, and on that basis, you find impossibilities become possible, such as a trade in barter can go through unimaginably, unconventionally. It happens in Bitcoin. Okay, so let's start out we'll just start out with why Bitcoin has value, why it's a good store of value, and we will begin to differentiate it from money, and then establish why it's more powerful as a currency than money. And we will end up seeing the beauty of it as a type of money. So let's go to, I just have a quick outline here. Let me just quickly peep on it. So, okay, what's the advantages of Bitcoin? Okay, so we'll just go to let's go to CoinGecko for a start. So CoinGecko is a platform, that ranks cryptocurrencies based on their financial value. Now, mind you, it doesn't contain all the cryptocurrencies in existence. There are up to 1 million cryptocurrencies CoinGecko features just 12,299. So the opportunities in crypto are ever existent, and like it needs exploration. So Bitcoin is here. The price is 23,572. I think I've done this in multiple videos trying to establish why the price of Bitcoin is like this. And again, I want to say at this stage, even though it's very early, that if you want to learn about Web3, we will come to that, because the power of all this information is to learn about Web3. Web3 being a third generation of the internet that is in the making, powered by crypto and blockchain. So if you want to learn about crypto and all that, I'm developing 1,000 topic tutorials, like organized from start to finish. Finish being able to create your own crypto or NFT project, and all in one place. Now it's going to be made up of 1,000 topics, and I believe this is very powerful. I don't believe anybody will be. I'm just doing this for legacy's sake amongst, and to help, Africa at large, to put something out there by an African covering the unconventionalities on tools about Web3 and crypto. And I'm just going to do the grind for the next 2 or 3 months to develop this. So 1,000 topics categorized based on industries. So we'll start out. The first topic is crypto is not money, understanding crypto quickly. This is a category. Adjusting mentalities. So down to creating your own cryptocurrency and NFT projects, or incorporating Web3 into your existing non-crypto projects. So I've already developed the topics, 1,000 of them. And I will also have miscellaneous topics with already 200 topics or so. And I'm publishing this on my channel, Uloggers TV. Just go to Uloggers TV and click on join, and then putting the videos on the membership. This also comes with access to me continuously, me as a brother. And I've started out the motion. Each video is in the realm of 40 to 34 minutes, and the videos are in order, all the resources in one place. So it's very important, because you will see at the end of the video why it's important. Web3 it gives you very powerful, limitless information, gives you all the tools to become limitless. So you can build anything in a limitless fashion because because of Web3, crypto and blockchain. So that said, going back to Bitcoin, the stats, the page here, CoinGecko, there's a reason why Bitcoin has this much value. So you will notice that in the last 24 hours, there has been $32 billion worth of trade. And it can be said right now that crypto is bearish, but even though it's bearish, you see the level of interest in Bitcoin, for example, in the last 24 hours to the tune of $32 billion. Now, there's reason for this level of interest. And we will be discussing the reason by looking at Bitcoin, the parameters guarding the Bitcoin. That is the cryptocurrency side. Now, when you say Bitcoin, you don't only refer to the cryptocurrency. It's also possible to refer to the blockchain and ecosystem behind Bitcoin using the term Bitcoin. So behind Bitcoin, there is an actual project, which you can find out here when you go to bitcoin.org. So this is a website, and it has access to the blockchain. So there's an underlying blockchain powering Bitcoin, that stores all the transactions associated with BTC, the coin. Now this ecosystem is also made up of developers. So you see developers here, businesses, individuals, meaning that it's possible to build applications associated with the Bitcoin blockchain. And so the value proposition for Bitcoin is beyond it just being a financial asset. Now, even as a financial asset, it has more strength than money, and thus it is not money. And we will discuss why. So, in comparison to money, you will quickly see here that Bitcoin has a total supply of 21 million. 21 million. Now, what is the assured? Now, this, of course, is a finite supply, is a very small supply compared to money, which is inflationary, which can be minted at will, thus is bound to continue losing value, and which we already see. So the traditional money is innately as such to continue to lose value. In contrast, Bitcoin is finite in supply, has a very small supply. But if you look at circulating supply here, you will notice that, let's assume that this is the entire number of Bitcoin that has been minted so far. This is 19,305,462. This tells us that very soon, the entirety of the Bitcoin supply will be minted, and there will be no more new Bitcoin being minted or created. Now, imagine the whole world adopting Bitcoin, and there are only 21 million of them. And let's say that as many as 1 million e-commerce stores start accepting Bitcoin as a medium of payment. For example, Tesla, I don't know if they still accept Bitcoin, but before they accepted Bitcoin, PayPal has incorporated Bitcoin and all that. So you see the value, why Bitcoin is one major reason why Bitcoin is gaining its value, because of these stats here. But for this to be established, these stats must be tamper-proof, meaning that this is not only a declaration, but sealed and cannot be tampered, which is the case with Bitcoin and the essence of a blockchain. So Bitcoin does have a blockchain, and there is a user interface that shows the traditional user the blockchain in its state at every instance. So any transaction associated with Bitcoin, for example, if I sent Bitcoin to another person, the transaction is recorded on the blockchain, verifiable by anyone. Now, we're already starting to see the power of peer-to-peer. To access data from the blockchain, I don't need to go through Facebook and then ask permission from Facebook or from a bank, for example. I cannot go into a bank and ask, oh, what transaction did Dynast carry out yesterday? Now, how empowering is it to be able to get that information? Of course, it can be said to be infringing, but it may not be infringing if, in the same manner, Dynast has my information. When you look at it critically, it may be empowering. Why? Why so? Because in this system of things, the banks have our information. The money may not be physically present. For example, we may look at it digitally in our accounts, but the banks make use of that money. They use it to make, transactions, make a lot of money. They have all the power and monopoly over our money. And then when we need our money, we need third-party authorization to access that money. It's limiting in itself, and it makes us consumers without us knowing it. And by embracing that narrative, we become programmable and forever recurrent clients or consumers to the system of things. The reason is because equality to knowledge. A few people know us more than we know ourselves. In turn, we don't know them to any extent. And even if we come to know them, they can eliminate evidence of that knowledge while we can't of our own. So let's say we carried out, some error in our transactions and we wanted to eliminate it from the data. We may be able to eliminate it we can't even eliminate it from our bank. We have no say on that. But if they did that, there will be no trace of it. And that's the money system of things. That's at the basis of how the world works today. So now Bitcoin is different because it's open source, it's peer-to-peer in nature, it's a blockchain which is public and verifiable. Anyone can access data from it. Now, within this jurisdiction as well, it tells us of the capacity to innovate. So because anybody can gather data from Bitcoin, anyone can suddenly build an application that is made up of Bitcoin transactions. So very quickly, someone can ship a new application and resource data from Bitcoin, the Bitcoin blockchain, without actually storing the data, then display that data on their application. And suddenly they have a venture very quickly. So that is at the basis for why there have been 1 million cryptocurrencies and perhaps hundreds of thousands of cryptocurrency projects and a wide range of innovations per day in the crypto realm than the traditional internet, where Facebook, Google has had monopoly and will have monopoly forever. No other innovation can come close to them in terms of competition. And that's how the world works at large. So anyway, what I'm going back, now this data should not just be data. Because if it's just data, then people will not trust it. I mean, if it's just a declaration made by a centralized entity that don't worry, I'm only going to create 21 million Bitcoin, then perhaps Bitcoin will not gain this level of adoption because they know that a human is prone to errors or can change. They may be reactionary and change the parameters of the blockchain tomorrow, and the emission rate, this deflationary stats associated with Bitcoin. But that's not the case. This is not just a declaration. It's actually encoded into the Bitcoin blockchain, and the administration of it is run by a smart, let's call it a smart contract or a program. Now, this program is stored on a Bitcoin blockchain, which is not censorable. Now, how does it manage to pull off being uncensorable or tamper-proof? So that brings us to some data. So we are now going to look at the consensus, how changes can be made to the Bitcoin blockchain. It's a very difficult process. So let's say you wanted to tamper the state of Bitcoin, the blockchain, and you want to adjust the parameters associated with the emission of Bitcoin. So before we go, let's quickly look at the emission rate of Bitcoin to tell you why people adopt Bitcoin and prefer it, and that makes Bitcoin a better medium of exchange than money. Not only is there a finite supply, there is also public knowledge about how many Bitcoin will enter circulation in a day and thus in a year. So people can calculate and envision where Bitcoin is headed in terms of its value based on that data. And let's quickly look at the data. So Bitcoin, I just tried to gather the data before this video because I didn't have the exact numbers. So let's look at it here. Now, you may not be able to see the screen, but I'll just summarize it. So 21 million Bitcoins, and the issuance of new coins is halved every 210,000 blocks, approximately every 4 years. This is known as the Bitcoin halving. So, of course, Bitcoin started out creating 50 BTC per block originally. So from the start, it started with an emission of 50 BTC per block. And a block is an interval of like 10 minutes. So let's say that every 10 minutes, 50 new BTC was created and enters into circulation. So based on that number, it's possible to know approximately how many Bitcoin will be created per year. And this is bound to be because the dispensation or creation of this Bitcoin is by a smart contract or a program that we have said is not censorable, which we'll take a look at later on. Now, 2012, the first halving of Bitcoin occurred. And then the emission rate or creation rate of Bitcoin became 25 BTC per block. So you see that it reduced, the creation of new BTC reduced by 50% after 4 years, making it 25 in 2012. In 26, the next halving occurred, which made the emission 12.5 BTC per block. Now, in 2020, there was another halving, which we are currently in. The current emission is 6.25 BTC. And then in 2040, is it 2040? Okay. 2020. So 2024, the next halving will occur. And the number of new BTC that will be created per day is going to be like 3 point something. Now, that said, it's predictable when the entirety of 21 million BTC will be in circulation, which is 2140, which is not so far away from now. It's around 7 years. Now, based on this predictability, people can better assess the value of Bitcoin or project the value of Bitcoin because it's defined that this will be the case. And at 2140, the entirety of the Bitcoin will be in circulation. There will be no new creation of Bitcoin. Now, besides, now, it is not true that all 21 million Bitcoin are in circulation, meaning that Bitcoin may be deflationary than we think, because some people use Bitcoin as a medium of storage because of this data, this definable data. So for example, there are some companies that keep Bitcoin in storage, basically. To that, I would say they are not in circulation, they are just being held because people perceive them as being a good storage of value based on the stats that we have looked at. So if you look at, it's a long time since I checked this, but this site, it contains like data of companies that have Bitcoin in their treasury, meaning that most of them, they don't sell this Bitcoin, even though the Bitcoin doubles in value or triples or something. So I will just use this in an analogy and say that this is an example of Bitcoin as a storage of value, considering that it's deflationary and people are assured that it's deflationary. They consider it a good store of value, and some people just accumulate it and store it. You save their money in it. So there are indeed some people that save their money in Bitcoin. Let's say they get a salary, they put a portion of it in Bitcoin and keep it there, knowing that unlike money, it doesn't keep inflating and it has a fixed supply. So Tesla, for example, has 9,720 Bitcoin. MicroStrategy has 132,500 Bitcoin. I think this site has updated, but left to me, I will assume that this is all in treasury, meaning that they're out of circulation. They are not being traded actively or something and are just being held. So if you look here, you'll see a large bulk of Bitcoin is in the possession of people. Now, there are also wallets that have been lost, because if you look at the blockchain, you'll see some accounts with a large number of Bitcoin that have never been moved. You can assume that some of them have lost their wallet password and no longer have access to this Bitcoin. Now, why is that a possibility? In my case as well, it has happened to me. At the early stages of Bitcoin, when Bitcoin did not have value, people may have had it, not seen value to it, and just, lost their keys. So that happens as well. Now, so that is to tell you that Bitcoin is more deflationary than we think, even though it already has a very finite supply. Now that we've reached this stage, we need to establish again why this is defined. These parameters that were mentioned, why it's difficult to tamper the blockchain. So before this video, I quickly typed, just so that there is a summary. and I would like you to also be familiar with these search queries, because it enables you to advance this study. So the search query I used to gather this data at the top is, what is the emission rate of Bitcoin? And I got this data, or the tokenomics associated with Bitcoin. So tokenomics is a terminology you should be familiar with. Then here, I typed in this category, what is the process for achieving consensus that brings about critical changes to the Bitcoin blockchain? So before the video, I quickly got this information. So once again, how do changes take place to the Bitcoin blockchain, specifically critical changes? So let's say somebody wanted to tamper this inflationary, the rate of inflation of Bitcoin. So let's say in the middle of the night, he wanted to change the inflation rate of Bitcoin, and let's say mint additional 1 million Bitcoins to add, it's known, people are projecting based on the finite supply of Bitcoin, but someone in the middle of the night attempts to mint additional 1 million Bitcoin. Why is it impossible to accomplish that? That's the next question. Now, why it's impossible to accomplish that is because there are, let's call them nodes. So nodes refer to computers, spread across a wide range of geography. So let's say I can run a node. It can be in my house, which contains the state of the Bitcoin blockchain as well as the software. So let's look at Bitcoin like something like an OS, like an operating system, something like that, or a software. So, and let's say that Bitcoin, the current software is version 1. So, like your iPhone, there may be a new update pushed by the creators of iPhone, which you are bound to adopt. It just comes, then you are told to update your phone. You don't know what is in the change. You can't verify it for the most part. You just adopt it. Else your OS becomes obsolete, and then you have security issues, or it becomes obsolete, useless, basically. So you have no choice but to adopt changes. Now, with Bitcoin, is that the case? The answer is no. So to be able to change the state of the Bitcoin emission, or delete a transaction, or all that, Mark Zuckerberg, irrespective of his powers and his monetary influence, will struggle to do that, or even the government. Why? Because, like I said, the state of the Bitcoin blockchain and its software is hosted by, and can be hosted by anyone on any computer around the world. So I can be running a Bitcoin node, for example, which contains the current state of the Bitcoin and the software. So let's say I'm running a node, Dynast is running a node. We're in 2 different locations, and there are 100,000 nodes, all having the current, the Bitcoin blockchain, basically. To be able to tamper the state of the blockchain, you need to eliminate all those 100,000 nodes, have access to one, which you may be able to tamper. Now, is that possible to accomplish? Well, you will struggle to do so. Now, for consensus to take place, I don't know the data, but last time I checked years ago, it will require consensus from 100% of the nodes. Now, each blockchain has its own standard, but blockchain requires 100% consensus, I believe. And if there are 100,000 nodes, for changes to happen to the blockchain, all 100, like 100 strangers basically will need to connive and agree and accept the new update, that was pushed before it becomes the new version of the blockchain. So let's say version 2. So typically what people do is anyone can submit a proposal to, for critical changes to the blockchain. they start out with a very simple proposal like a draft. Then when it is adopted by the general public, then they can now submit it as a Bitcoin improvement proposal. And then when it gets to this stage, now, like I said, anyone can do this. If it's deemed fit of being a valuable proposal, then changes are the push is now added to the blockchain and needs to be adopted by all the nodes. Now, where there is no 100% consensus, there it leads to the split of the blockchain, which is known as a hard fork. But where there's 100% consensus, we now have the new version of the Bitcoin blockchain with its new state. So it's very difficult. It's a very difficult process to tamper. So I may not get all the facts right, but I'm just giving you just an analogy of the process. So take note, anybody can submit a proposal, and anybody can play a role in governance that decides the fate of Bitcoin by either adopting it or refusing it, thus affecting the ability for that change to take place. So I don't know how to explain it very well, but let me just give you an insight of what I'm talking about. So I'll be looking at another blockchain. It's called Hive. So this is actually a social media platform built on a blockchain. So at the back end of it is a blockchain. And in the case of Hive, you'll see here, these are proposals. So anybody can submit a proposal. You don't need third-party authorization. So this brings us to, let's say someone wanted to raise funding from Hive, for example, has a new project and doesn't know how to fund it. Many blockchains have this, where you can just go and submit a proposal. Oh, I want to build this. I want to build this. And there may be like a public fund. It's a treasury or a DAO where a certain number of newly created coins are funneled into that fund. And then someone writes a proposal, and then based on decentralized voting, a random person can get access to those funds. So you'll see here, for example, you will see this person is being paid $330 per day over the course of 365 days. And this is a proposal submitted by a random person, something that me and you can do for most blockchains, and where it's adopted by the general public, you start getting those funds. So I'm just trying to highlight the beauty of Web3 and the possibilities there that is not typical of the traditional system of things. So now, why did I come to this page? Because if you go here to the witness page, so on Hive, block nodes are called witnesses. So that's the terminology for Hive. That's its own unique terminology. Now, if you look here, you will see that the version of this blockchain is version 1.27.3. If you look here, you may not be able to see it very well. Now, in the case of Hive, it doesn't need 100% consensus for changes to be made to the blockchain. It needs just 21 nodes to adopt the new version, and it becomes the existing version of the blockchain. Now, anybody can decide not to upgrade and deter this possibility. But if all 21 at the top adopt version 1.27.3, then it becomes the relevant version of the blockchain with the new changes. So if you look at the top 21, they are all running that version, and that is why Hive currently has its current state. However, if you scroll down, you'll see that version number 23 is running 1.27.0, meaning that he did not adopt the change. He doesn't need third-party authorization. He can make this decision by himself. And this one, number 25, also did not adopt the change. Now, if the ranking of 25 and 23, let's say they are in top 21, the changes that was proposed will not take place, irrespective of how much influence other people have, except they can displace these two, let's say, gather more votes, because all these people, their ranking is based on the general public voting on them to be a top 21 consensus node. So, except they can displace these other two nodes from the top 21, will the consensus complete? So in the case of Bitcoin, it's more difficult than Hive to take over Bitcoin because there are hundreds of thousands of nodes and they all need to be in agreement. So compared to Hive, which needs 21 consensus node and which was overtaken in the past because of the model for consensus that it adopted. Okay, so now, if we have established that Bitcoin is tamper-proof, then you see why people are adopting Bitcoin, because they know that it's not a centralized entity involved in minting new Bitcoin. They also know that they can play a role in the consensus associated with iterating Bitcoin. They also know that it's public in nature. All the transactions are publicly verifiable. And on that basis, they can project the probable value of Bitcoin, or the value of Bitcoin in terms of it as a medium of exchange or as a medium of storage. Now, speaking of medium of exchange, is Bitcoin a good medium of exchange? I say yes. Although not entirely, it has disadvantage because of its volatile nature when it comes to it as a medium of exchange. But it also offers the value proposition of being able to rise in value. As such, some people accept it as a medium of exchange, because you see some people recently, let's say some athletes, they'll say, pay me in Bitcoin, because of the properties of Bitcoin that gives it its power as a financial asset when it comes to rising in value. Now, but there is another thing reason people transact in Bitcoin. For example, large amounts. With banking system of things, I don't know how much you'll pay in terms of taxes, but let's say I receive a payment, for example, via PayPal. If I receive $100, for example, like $20 may be removed from the third party, PayPal. I don't know which other entity removes money. Multiple third parties in the picture. There's going to be maybe the bank itself, such that $100 will become $80. Now, Nigeria is facing that same issue. People that use POS in Nigeria or as a way of getting money, let's say the fee is 20%. Imagine now transferring large amount of funds in Nigeria. Not only are you deterred by how much you can transfer, or let's say in USA, the banks will likely question you after maybe $10,000 worth of transfer and start asking taxes or something. But with Bitcoin, it's possible to transfer large amounts of Bitcoin, let's say 1 billion or 1 trillion, and the fee is in the realm of, let's say, $50. So that's another reason for, people transacting in Bitcoin fees. Also, there's an anonymity element. Even though the blockchain is public in nature, all the transactions is verifiable. If someone decides to be anonymous, they have the luxury of doing that by not associating an identity with their Bitcoin wallet. So your presence on the Bitcoin space is by virtue of your wallet. So I'll give you an example of a wallet address here. Now, I don't have a Bitcoin wallet address, but it looks like this, like an alphanumeric number. And that's basically your identity. Now, ownership is another reason people interact with Bitcoin, because you are guaranteed of ownership. You have custody of your funds. So for example, if you have a Bitcoin wallet and you have Bitcoin stored in it, nobody can access those funds other than you. Because to the blockchain, it doesn't recognize any other thing than your wallet address and your seed phrase or password. So in the event of creating a wallet, the blockchain generates an automatic, randomized password for you. And then to prove ownership in the course of transacting with Bitcoin, you don't need to go through a third party. Let's say having to sign in with your password or email address, having to do KYC. directly you can trade with a third party. So I'm going to give you an example of something on Bitcoin. It's a feature because in not long ago, I think Nigeria was trying to deter the possibility to interact with Bitcoin and stuff like that. So people went into peer-to-peer trading, and most Nigerians, they make money out of it. Now, peer-to-peer trading, anybody can decide to run a business out of it because there's a large disparity in the price of Naira. When you, let me give you an example. So I'm going to show you an example of peer-to-peer trades and how people transact Bitcoin currently in Nigeria. Let me just reload. Wow, I'm not signed in. Okay, just a moment. Let me quickly sign in. Just a moment.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure you hit the like button again. Please hit that like button.
Okay. Just a moment. Okay, I may not be able to see it fully here because of my location is not Nigeria, but I'll just give you a glimpse of it. And this is some of the opportunities available to Nigerians. Many Nigerians make money out of this currently because there's a difference in price a serious difference in price when it comes to the value of Naira in a peer-to-peer situation. Wow. I need to refresh multiple times because my PC doesn't have good memory. Just a moment. Wow. Okay, so now Binance is a centralized exchange. So of course you can use Binance to purchase crypto, to store crypto, but it's not a personal wallet. So when you interact with Binance, the exchange side of things, basically Binance plays the role of custodian of your funds. That's different from downloading a Bitcoin wallet that you have ownership of. So if you want to download a Bitcoin wallet, there are many wallets. You can also download directly from the Bitcoin website. So you can click on choose wallet. Some wallets take the form of an extension, meaning that you don't have to download an app, you just add a wallet extension. And some wallets there are different types of wallet options. So you can get that. So for example, you see on your phone, iOS, Android, you can get a wallet on your PC. You can also get a hard wallet, stuff like that. Okay, so now on Binance, so let's change this to Naira. So there are a lot of Nigerians making money here, and the Bitcoin is providing that outlet. And what they do is they interact peer to peer. So this is BTC here. Anybody can. So they basically create. Binance offers them a platform where they can create all these trades, basically. So let's say somebody wanted to buy BTC, while Binance plays the role of an escrow. So this is a peer-to-peer market. If you were to purchase this, you'll interact with someone directly, and here you'll see these are all bank options. I don't know how to show you because I'm not located in Nigeria, but let's say PHP. So let's say I wanted to buy from this person. I'll be interacting direct with the person. And you see each person has different payment options. So if I wanted to buy BTC in a peer-to-peer trade, I can click on buy. And then let's see, wow, I don't have some BTC. So if I click on buy BTC, I'm not supposed to do this because I've set an order. So, but this is how it looks. So you see, you interact with someone and then the transaction completes, paid straight to your remittance app or to your bank account. I'm going to cancel this order. Okay, so, wow, I've forgotten where we were. Okay, let me go back to this guide again. Okay, so now at this stage that we've established Bitcoin as a coin, we've also established that there is a blockchain powering things. We've established that Bitcoin is a good store of value, medium of exchange. Let me just touch on one more reason why Bitcoin has its value. Then we will go on to other aspects of the topic. Another reason Bitcoin has its value is because it's a gateway token. So what do I mean? I mean that almost every other cryptocurrency has to go through Bitcoin. So if you want to access Ethereum, for example, or some of the enlisted cryptocurrencies here, they are paired on most exchanges. They are paired against Bitcoin. So for example, if you wanted to buy, let's say, Litecoin or Dogecoin, many times you have to buy Bitcoin first, then convert it into Dogecoin, those unpopular coins, because Bitcoin is globally recognized. People want it more than the other coins. So there's because people will accept it more, it becomes a gateway token. So let me just leave that at that. Now let's go to this one. Okay, so I listed open source peer-to-peer is African in nature. Bitcoin has given birth to other cryptocurrencies. Okay, let's talk about this briefly. So the introduction of Bitcoin led to the introduction of other cryptocurrencies. That tells us that Bitcoin has a revelational aspect. And the reason that we have access to this revelation is because Bitcoin is public in nature. There is a blockchain. The code for Bitcoin is open source, meaning that even if you wanted to, you create your own Bitcoin, you can create it because the code is open source, all public. These are the proposals submitted, and their contributors can be any programmer. Programmers can contribute, and you can replicate this to create your own Bitcoin, for example. So because of this public nature of Bitcoin and crypto in general, and its peer-to-peer nature, which allows humans to be peer-to-peer in their financial transactions, there is a revelation that ensues. Because a human that is not too regulated is a more powerful human, perhaps a more spiritual human, because the person's human is factored into what was once just financial transactions. So that revealed many things when it comes to possibilities and told us that, okay, if Bitcoin built on a blockchain can store financial transactions, which are, let's say, numeric values, perhaps it's possible to store other types of transactions, perhaps social transactions. And then someone came up with something like Ethereum. Perhaps after looking at Bitcoin, starting out with Bitcoin and finding out that, oh, it's possible to advance this, enhance the capacity of a blockchain when it comes to storage and try to infuse other forms of transactions into a block. And then came Ethereum. And then Ethereum went on to reveal other possibilities that led to the emanation of multiple other blockchains. So Bitcoin does have its limitations because it was built specifically for Bitcoin. So to host a particular type of money that is not inflationary, that beats the traditional money. So I don't think the creator of Bitcoin envisioned a future of which is Web3, a future of of blockchain powering Web3. I don't think so. Or maybe there was that vision, but because of the intention to create money, the focus was just on that. So someone else saw the possibility of powering applications and storing these applications on a blockchain, and then Ethereum came about. So Ethereum, you'll see, is the next popular, and it's also the next oldest. But Ethereum changed the dynamics of things and revealed what's possible with the same blockchain infrastructure that Bitcoin introduced, and then created its own blockchain, which started out as proof of work, quite similar to Bitcoin in its mechanics, but modeled to be able to run applications. So you'll see Ethereum is a community-run technology powering the currency Ether and thousands of decentralized applications. So Bitcoin, it only focused on the cryptocurrency Bitcoin, but it didn't have this extension of capabilities. And Ethereum brought that about. And suddenly we have the possibility of creating applications and storing them on blockchain so that they work, on blockchain. And that is how Ethereum and many applications, which you refer to as Web3 applications, came about. So for example, Hive, this is actually a Web3 application because to interact with Hive, you don't need to sign in using your email and password. You don't need to ask third-party authorization to be able to access and interact with Hive and the underlying blockchain. You just need your cryptocurrency wallet. And the reverse is the case when you try to sign into a Web3 application. For example, let me look for a Web3 application similar to YouTube. So, so let's say that you come across this application. To the traditional user, this looks like a traditional application. And let's say you're just looking for another place where you can publish your videos and gain an audience, or you're looking for another place where you can earn for your content. And you come across an application like this as a traditional Web2 user, you won't be able to interact with it because you need a cryptocurrency wallet. And that's not the narrative perpetrated when it comes to Web3. They try to diminish its value and call it a financial asset, when in reality it is not, because it powers applications. So this is an example of a Web3 application and the relevance of your cryptocurrency or cryptocurrency wallet. So let's say I wanted to connect with this application. Look at the process. So it's now asking me for my cryptocurrency wallet. And let's say I choose MetaMask, which is what I have here. You see, LensTube is asking to connect with my wallet. So the reverse is the case. Instead of me asking permission from the app to access my own data like you would with Facebook, the app needs your permission. And how do you give your permission? By virtue of your cryptocurrency wallet. Meaning that if you don't have a cryptocurrency wallet, however much your influence is in the world, however much money you have, you will not be able to access this application and its opportunity. Now, if it offers a suite of tools, you will also not be able to interact with it. Now, I've already signed in. So it's asking, once again, my authority to sign in. So it needs my own authority. Now, to sign in and use this, it's also asking that I need to have a username. But in this case, a username is an NFT, meaning that I need to get a certain NFT called Lens on OpenSea. We are digressing a bit, but it's still relevant. So meaning that I need to get an NFT called Lens to be able to access that application. So if I go to OpenSea and I type Lens, so Lens profile, you will notice that these are all usernames, even though they look like just pictures. So if I wanted to get this username, I try to buy this using my cryptocurrency wallet, which I cannot buy without a cryptocurrency wallet. So if I added this to cart, example, it's pulling up my cryptocurrency wallet, asking my authority once again, and then it's in my cart. Just a moment. So, or let's say I wanted to buy this and I want to complete purchase. It will ask authority from my cryptocurrency wallet. I have to have it funded with Ethereum in this case. So that's where comes the relevance of Ethereum. And then this NFT is transferred within the transaction into my wallet. I have custody of it. So let's say I bought this, it will now be in my possession inside my wallet. So if you go to your portfolio, you'll end up finding the NFT amongst your NFTs, and you have total ownership of it. Nobody can censor it or delete it or take ownership of it without having access to your wallet. So once I have it inside my wallet, the next time I go to Lens, it will automatically allow me to log in and it will give me a username. So all these profiles here, they actually have an NFT of their username. And let's say this application has hundreds of thousands of people. As a Web2 user, you'll be missing all the opportunities here because you simply don't have a cryptocurrency wallet or knowledge of it. And there are thousands of applications building in the Web3 space. So Bitcoin is revealing in nature. It instigated the launch of many other cryptocurrencies and blockchains. Today, we may have thousands of blockchains and millions of cryptocurrencies, but more importantly, millions or hundreds of thousands of applications that now make up Web3, which is an advanced version of the internet. So now let's look at Bitcoin again. While Bitcoin was built only for Bitcoin to serve the Bitcoin cryptocurrency, it has also evolved, and I'll tell you how. So people have been wondering, they love the principles of Bitcoin, the security of it, amongst other things. So some people have become maximalists of Bitcoin and have been attempting to build on Bitcoin. And not many have progressed with it, but one project in particular, they have a native coin called Stacks, have kept on ambitious with it and have started building applications on that at least adopts the Bitcoin principles. And it's actually building on a layer 2. But I just want to feature it to tell you that people are attempting very hard to build applications associated with Bitcoin. So you'll see this ecosystem has built many applications. And to an extent, you can say that they are Bitcoin applications. So in the past, it wasn't possible to host NFTs, for example, on Bitcoin, but that's now possible by virtue of this project. But recently, something happened which you should take note of, which may be an industry of interest and of value if you research it. So something was introduced as a feature, now possible with Bitcoin. It's called ordinals. And so basically the ability to inscribe NFTs on the Bitcoin chain. So it was introduced recently and started to go viral. So I can't remember, is it ordinals.com? Yes. So you will notice here that, let's see how many inscriptions. So this is like the early stages of NFTs on Bitcoin. That's why it's looking all crude like this. But the site doesn't seem to be loading. My PC is struggling. But let's assume that there are some 200 or 300,000 inscriptions on the Bitcoin blockchain currently. These are all NFTs. And the very first inscriptions, let's say the top 100, top 200, they sold for thousands of Bitcoin. And it may be of importance, to get in early for the historical essence of it, something like that. So this is just a side note. I'm just trying to say that, Bitcoin has evolved and introduced many other blockchains that are now hosting hundreds of thousands of applications, but people are also trying to build on the Bitcoin infrastructure. And recently, someone discovered that it's possible to insert an NFT into a Bitcoin block. And then this is an industry that started, as a result of that. And based on this, many more revelations will come about. So that's one of the powers of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general. It's revelation aspect and the ability to build without limitations. So that the wealth of innovation that occurs in crypto and on blockchains is unimaginable. Like anything you think is impossible becomes possible in crypto or Web3 because of the peer-to-peer nature of it. Because humans without the regulation are now limitless. Now also because of the peer-to-peer nature of it, innovation can happen very quickly. So for example, in the traditional innovation space, you cannot build freely because much of the data, let's say Facebook has it and it's their unique ingredient for making money. They will not release that information to you, or maybe privatize the API so that you cannot access it freely, and you cannot progress with your innovation without that third party permission. Twitter, they recently made aspects of their API that was formerly public private, meaning that if somebody wants to build an application that showcases some data from Twitter, for example, I was envisioning, what if I can build an application that sources out all the questions from Twitter? You'll be able to solve the issues of many marketers who are looking for organic avenues to generate leads. Because if you can display all the questions per industry on Twitter, then people can go directly to a question, try to answer it, to show themselves as industry experts, and then sell a product or generate organic leads. So I was thinking, what if you could build that? And then I saw an update that Twitter has made, the API is private, for example, or maybe paid. Yes, paid, not entirely private. So you don't have all those limitations with building on a blockchain, because in contrast with the blockchain, you go directly to the blockchain, source the information, and then display it. For example, this platform, OpenSea, let's say it's making like 1 million in revenue. There's one collection here that in the last 28 days, it's made 2 million in revenue without having to store any of this data, for example. Because every of this NFT is stored on the blockchain. Let's say OpenSea wants to display this, it simply pulls up the information from the blockchain and then displays it. Same thing with Hive. There's a record of all the transactions. When you want to publish let's say you create a post and you want to publish it, it will pull up your wallet. Okay, so let's say I want to reply here. Let me enable the extension Hive. Now, these things that we're doing, it also applies to Bitcoin, and I'm just trying to explain the mechanics of it. So let's say I wanted to publish here a post, instead, like on Facebook, where your data is, when you publish it, it goes to the storage of Mark Zuckerberg. Here it's different. If I was to reply here and say Terry, what is actually happening here is this transaction is going to be published on the blockchain. So if you see, if I confirm, it needs my authority for this transaction to go through. Let's say I confirm and it completes. The resulting transaction is stored on the blockchain. So when this transaction completes, if I go to Hive blockchain Explorer. So let's say I use maybe this one. So this is Terry here. You'll see evidence of the transaction.
Hey, Terry, real quick, I have to go get my son. Like, you could go ahead and keep going. I'll be back in like 30 minutes. It's up to you.
Okay, I'll go ahead.
Okay. I'll be back in 30 minutes. I just got a message. I got to go get him.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, no problem.
Yes, and I don't know. I'm not seeing the chat. Okay, maybe I'll take a look at the chat. I don't know if anyone is having questions or if anything, if it's clear at all, or if I tried. Because I just came like impromptu, so I don't know if I was able to cover. If I was able to touch on the question at all. I mean, answer the question at all. Oh, Dynas is not there any longer. Okay, so yeah, so if I went to surpassing Google, you will see my PC is really struggling, so it's taking time to load. But if it was able to load, you will see the transaction. This comment here is stored on the blockchain. So now, if somebody wants to build an application that displays Terry's comments in an organized fashion, or they don't need to contact anybody on Hive. So there's no central entity that you will contact here and say, oh, please, I need permission for your APIs. I need to build this. They just source the data from the blockchain. Now, if you wanted to build something like Hive, let's say you wanted to build something like this for the African-based audience, or you wanted to build something like this, you don't have to start afresh. Most of these are open source, and then you can replicate it without having to deal with the issue of storing data and paying for data storage. So recently I spoke to Dynast. There was a recent event that happened with Wode Meyer, for example. He has a large audience, and let's say, although his account has been recovered, but let's say in a situation where there was censorship or some issues with YouTube. Let's say YouTube goes down, and like in my case, I have 2,000 videos. Dynast has maybe more than 2,000 videos. There's no safety haven for these videos, for example. But I told Dynast, I introduced him to a platform. So I just want to feature this to show you the power of blockchain when it comes to tools. Like, it has so many tools that make everything possible. And this is of essence to Nigerians. So you want to raise funds. There is no tool in Web 2 enabling you to do so. You can find it in Web 3. Anything that you think is impossible, deterring your capacity to innovate, there are tools to enable that in Web 3. That's the reason I'm featuring this. So long ago, I told Dynast to explore this platform. It's a Web3 related video sharing platform, but it had a feature that is you cannot even imagine. It's just a very powerful feature. So basically, I told Dynast to connect to his YouTube channel, such that automatically, when Dynast uploads a video on YouTube, there is a copy of the video here. And let's look at search for Uhuru, for example. Now, this is a haven for the 2,000 videos that Dynast has. Another aspect. So see all these videos without Dynast coming to this platform at all. Automatically, all the videos that he uploads is automatically uploaded here. So you see, one day ago, without any action from Dynast, automatically there's a copy of the video on this platform. Now, this is a social, decentralized social media video sharing platform, similar to YouTube, but where you can have more ownership and all that than YouTube. So you see a record of all his videos, So, yeah, so these are, I'm just featuring some of the possibilities with Web3 that is impossible with Web2 and all that. It's just empowering. So for Nigerians, why do you need Bitcoin? It's very obvious. The primary reason is ownership. For the first time, you can own something in totality just by virtue of your cryptocurrency wallet. Like, and there is no, so for example, if, let's say, okay, let's just leave it at that. Then another reason is the borderless nature of Bitcoin. We all know that there's a limitation to the IP address Nigeria. Some platforms will automatically censor you just based on your IP address. The blockchain space is not like that. By virtue of your cryptocurrency wallet, you can access any Web3 application irrespective of your IP. So, for example, the first platform where I found ownership was the very first platform I found crypto by. So, when I was looking for crypto, that's why I saw the beauty of crypto very quickly. I didn't know the terminologies crypto, I didn't know the terminologies blockchain, but I experienced limitation in my use of the internet. The type of internet in Nigeria is limited, no information on any subject. It's different internet served in Nigeria compared to the rest of the world. So I was looking for a place on the internet, another type of internet, and I experienced censorship. I use Twitter, I'm shadow banned. I use YouTube, the algorithms deter you, on the notion that you're a bot or you're from a certain IP location. You go on Facebook, create pages, someone maybe reports you or something, your account gets deleted, no questions asked. So I was looking for a new place on the internet. So I was exploring different search queries on Google, and I found a Web3 application, which was a social media platform. So upon getting there, I saw something called decentralized curation, the ability to gain virality irrespective of your status, because there is decentralized curation in effect. And here, even though I may not get enough subscribers on YouTube, for example, I was able to get 16,000 subscribers, a lot of traction, because of the decentralized voting curation element to things. Visibility is based on combined voting, so, and I also saw that you cannot censor this, because when you publish a post, like I showed you, it goes to the blockchain, and the blockchain is tamperless. That's empowering in itself. Now, if you're in Africa and you want to build an innovation that surpasses Google, you cannot do that on Web2 infrastructure. You need Web3. So this is where crypto, Bitcoin comes in and is of relevance. Now, one question I need to tackle is the question of, so some people, especially Africans in the diaspora, one of their concerns when it comes to cryptocurrency all over again is that it's powered by the West. Now, this is true to an extent, but it is also true that everyone can participate, whether it's in terms of governance, whether in terms of innovation, when it comes to the blockchain. Now, that is empowering in itself. So what are the possibilities if you feel that Bitcoin, for example, or whichever cryptocurrency is dominated by the West? Is simply a factor of dominating it, building applications on it that you can customize with your own ideals favorable to the African people, and then you start to dominate, and that starts to gain adoption, and you start to dominate the blockchain space. For example, there are domain names, for example, Web3 centric domain names. Who owns the domain names, like wodemaya.eth or whichever domain name? Is it the West all over again, or are Africans dominating the space? So now, worst case scenario, blockchain is not favorable to you. What can you do? We've already said that Bitcoin is open source. Many cryptocurrency projects are open source. You can easily fork it, create your own variant of the blockchain, and then iterate it, modify it to capture your ideals. Because once again, dominating the blockchain space in terms of innovation is the West. But now that we have a place where anyone can play, participate without third-party authorization, are we behind all over again? Are we adopting cryptocurrency mostly because of its financial strength and the opportunity to make money, or are we using it as a tool to showcase the African? That's where the question lies. So worst case, you can create your own blockchain. If you want, you can replicate the Bitcoin principles or modify it so that it replicates the African system of things. And it's possible for Africans then to dominate a blockchain that was built specifically for them. But there is more. If you cannot build a blockchain that replicates Bitcoin principles, for example, you can build a cryptocurrency that does so. So, the process of creating a cryptocurrency, you can complete it in 3 minutes, for example. Not 3 minutes, 3 seconds. You don't need extra tools. There are many tools in Web3 that. Okay, let me give you an example of. Wow, I've forgotten the website. I've forgotten it. Okay, but let me give you an example of, let's say you wanted to create a cryptocurrency similar to Bitcoin. There are many applications where you can do so. Again, you don't need third-party authorization. You just need a cryptocurrency wallet. So let's say you wanted to replicate the mechanics of Bitcoin. It's just a matter of creating the cryptocurrency. Let's say you call it Pan-African. Then you create it using a standard token, name, symbol, total supply. You make total supply 21 million, for example. And then you create the token. Very quickly, your token is created in the course of 3 seconds. And then you administer the emission. If you wanted to replicate the Bitcoin emission, you can do so. You simply create a smart contract that releases the token according to the Bitcoin schedule. So let's say 50 Bitcoin, 50 Terry tokens is emitted per block and 144 Terry tokens per year. You can create a Bitcoin cryptocurrency all over again, even on, let's say, the Ethereum blockchain or whichever blockchain. There are a variety of cryptocurrency token models that you can implement, and all the possibilities exist. Do you have an existing Web 2 application that is limited? It's, you cannot gain no more audience. Funding is limited. Simply incorporate Web3 into it and re-enliven it. Any Web2 application can raise funds in crypto very easily because you're ahead of the rest of the bulk. Many projects raise millions or billions of dollars on the basis of a landing page. So now, are you struggling with anything you are struggling with? Basically, you can fix in Web3 because of the peer-to-peer nature of it and open source nature of it. So that said, let me now look at this is an opportunity for the first time or amongst the first time to be able to look at the comments and tend to some questions. So can anyone submit a proposal? Is Bitcoin open source for concerned Africans? Now, there is a project that has replicated, is attempting to replicate like Bitcoin principles while incorporating machine learning or AI. So AI is now a trendy niche. The project is BitTensor. You can look into it. I decided to feature it just so that this video turns out evolutionary. People can do an understudy later on based on the basis of this discussion. So you can look at BitTensor. It's a blockchain that is AI capable. The documentation is here. You can look into it. Then I want to feature another opportunity. It's a particular cryptocurrency that just came into existence. It's called Zen, and anybody can mint this. So it's created its own type of model where anybody can mint it. But unlike Bitcoin, it doesn't have it's not a finite supply, because anybody can mint it free of charge. It's inflationary. But what it did is it revealed a lot of things. For example, when I interacted with this, I was told of 2 innovations for the African society that based on this particular innovation, because it solved the problem of virality because of its free nature, free to mint, no central ownership. So it fixed the problem of adoption to where it was adopted very quickly by millions of people because people can mint it for free. So the question is, how do you deflate the supply? How do you give the token an identity? How do you bring in the community that has adopted it so that they have particular interest in it besides the beyond their ability to free mint it and sell it for gains. So that's the question, and I was able to come up with two solid project ideas on the basis of this. So Africans can do the same very easily, and that's where I come in as well. If you want to discuss projects and building surpassing Google level projects, that's what I love to do basically. Okay, so look into this as well. You can free mint it on multiple chains. And if you have questions about how to do this, you can ask me. You just simply go to my channel, Uloggers TV, in the description. All the avenues to reach me are there. And on the screen, my email is there. Now, this may be a currency that you want to mint and just keep it in your wallet for the long term. It has potential to be something because they're building a lot of things, including a blockchain, which is going to launch very soon. And it's a free mint, basically no ownership, no expense needed, and all that. Now, is it possible to earn in crypto for free? Yes. I've earned in crypto myself to the tune of $500,000 in the past, free of charge by creating content. I have 19,000 publications on this platform. I didn't sell because I was in a phase where I had to conquer money to find information. So that's one of the things I had to conquer in my evolution. One of it was money. So I lost much of the money I earned without selling it so that I can build projects that will surpass Google, which I've been able to do. At least the prototypes of the project, all the algorithms are set, but it remains just the building of it, which I've paused because of my health issues. Okay, so it's just empowering. I think now it's time to tend to the questions, if there are questions. So I'm going to, before I get to the questions, consider joining my channel, Uloggers TV. You can click on the join button. I'm working hard to document 1,000 Web3 tutorials from the African perspective once and for all. And I don't think that till eternity anyone will be able to undertake such a feat to create 1,000 videos, Web3 video tutorials in order from start to finish and in one place. Now, this also comes with access to me continuously. Whether you want to build a project and you need, to have a conversation with me, I'm going to be available. Now, the reason I did this, besides other things, is like I said, my health issues. I struggle a lot with that, and in the last 1 week, I had 60 Google Meets with people that contacted me. There's interest in Web3, and all these Google Meets, were free of charge basically. And it basically, and I see that it's not effective because we have one whole conversation. There is not much you can cover in that conversation. And if I was to have 60 of them, so I struggled with high BP in the last time, and my eyes were having serious issues even today. So I said, okay, let me try to create 1,000 videos, and solve that so that there can be one resource for everyone. So also when I come to Dinah's channel, people ask me is there a place you can learn? And it doesn't exist on the whole internet because the Web3 space is ever evolving very rapidly, so many resources, and they are scattered. And when you venture into it, you will be lost because it's too much information and it's scattered, and you also don't know the search queries to use and all that. So this is of relevance. I start out with improving your awareness, and I go in very deep. Everything is created impromptu on the spot. My spirit active, so I don't prepare it. So if you look at this, learning about major crypto Web3 terminologies, it's all tutorial centric as well, meaning that it's just the outro where you will see my face. The rest of the video is all me sharing my screen. So it's all tutorials, and basically the approach to this is to improve your awareness so that your intuition is very sharp and all that when you are approaching Web3. And I capture all the flaws, my hassle, and you will not find that on any resource that is pre-prepared, because you cannot capture these odd situations in a pre-prepared resource. So that said, let me look at the questions now, and I'll just tend to some of it before Dynas comes back. Search for Uhuru. And thank you everyone for joining. Apologies that I was not able to join the chat. So what's the channel name? I'll just type it here. My channel name is ULoggers TV. Thank you for joining. Found it. Is the platform is Odyssey. Okay. Oh, you're asking for Odyssey. Yes, Odyssey. If you have a YouTube channel, you can sync it with Odyssey so that your YouTube videos automatically uploads there. My cable company is offering 10 gig. I know Web3 is coming quickly. Yes, it is. And very soon it will become the staple internet. The pieces of it is currently formulating, and I've created the content side of it because I don't believe Web3 can fully become Web3 on the basis of Web2 content form, which is blogs and vlogs. There has to be a native content form for Web3, which is ULogs, which are ULogs. And so I've created a form of content called ULogs, which is Web3 native. And that's very powerful stuff because Web2 content, blogs and vlog is not peer-to-peer in nature. It has a perfection element. It favors popularity, and all the algorithms in Web2 are modeled for it. Now you enter Web3, which has a different dynamics entirely, where content can be peer-to-peer in nature. So you need a new form of content. If you introduce Web2 content into Web3, Web3 will not become fully formed. And that is one piece of Web3 that people don't know needs to be built. So every piece is being built. Domain names, you can now get a domain name on Web3 as an NFT and own it forever. You can now have a TLD of your own as an NFT and sell domain names as a venture. With the clicks of a button, with few clicks of a button, no third-party authorization needed and all that. Now, if you're interested in that, you can also contact me. Yes, or check underneath my YouTube in the description. You will see information about that and also a coupon code. Now, kindly consider contacting me because on Dynas channel, I don't know, YouTube, they don't allow my comments to show up most times. So after the video, even if there are comments asking questions, there is no way to respond. The comments don't show up. Okay, so let me just check some of this. It says cloud bartering. That's interesting. Yes, he's dropping good info. Thank you, Todd, Mike. Joshua just had nice cardio run, knees locking up the past week's weather. Okay, me too, but I want a house with a swimming pool. I want to trade my phone. Okay, I'll just check the comments a bit, but the tools available for companies like chain analysis and others. How much Bitcoin do you have, Terry? Okay, Ebony Sweetness. I don't have Bitcoin at the moment. I have other cryptocurrencies, but my focus is on creating my own cryptocurrency and project. So because I've looked at all the cryptocurrencies and I believe everyone needs to create a cryptocurrency because the logic of money, according to me, is if you don't have your face on money, you are bound to pursue it. in a race modeled for that particular money. Now, in the money system of things, the race that has been modeled for it is a race fit for rats and bots. It didn't take cognizance of us, you and me. And that's why there's a struggle when it comes to earning that money. It's not our money. Whoever's face is on that money does not have to pursue it. So the logic is create your money, then put your face on it. But many people can create money, using cryptocurrency. But the missing piece of the puzzle is the ability to put your face on it, because now it has to be your face for it to become your own breed of money. And many times we have a shared identity, so we need to establish who we are. Then we can create a money with our face on it. So that's the path I've taken. And that's why I had to conquer money, like I mentioned, to be able to create money that I can put my face on. In the course of conquering money, I also had to conquer food, many things I had to conquer. Then the question of who am I became answered, such that and the definition of that is basically surpassing Google. And then I can create projects with a stamp of my identity, including money. So my cryptocurrency is going to be called teardrops to reward proof of tears. But I've removed disassociated tears from sadness, like is popularly known, and happiness, and associated it with breakthrough in human. So en route breakthrough in human, in the course of returning to the image of the creator, you are bound to shed many tears, happy, sad, and unfelt tears. We want to reward each of those tears using a cryptocurrency called teardrops. To that effect, I had to create 3 platforms that removes barriers to entry and incite humans to evolve, to mind their human and return to the image of the creator. And the resulting transactions that come out from my application will be rewarded with a token called teardrop. So you log in, for example, the art of creating content that is entirely made up of excerpts of you. So you want to create a meme inside a ulog, you have to create the image afresh and create the inscriptions afresh. I intend to recapture people from Google and the influence of Google on. So then create ulogs, then remove the barriers from freelancing and the barriers from programming. Also have a search engine to rank all this content. And so that's the approach for me. So that's why I don't have Bitcoin. I do have many cryptocurrencies, but I get them from a contributory perspective to become invested in the projects and look at their back end, even though the cryptocurrency may fall in price. So I do have many cryptocurrencies that have fallen in price, but I've been able to look at what the project is building, interact with it fully, use these projects as an avenue to reach humans, to learn about the truest state of the world, because the blockchain is bare in nature and I can resource the escapades and transactions of thousands of humans who are in a peer-to-peer state, and then use that to learn the true state of the world and further model my project. So I do have many cryptocurrencies, but I don't have Bitcoin. And why I don't have Bitcoin, another reason is because of applications. So I make use of many applications, and originally Bitcoin, like I mentioned, was not built for applications. So there weren't many applications where I needed to use Bitcoin. Only recently I showed stacks starting to build applications where you may need Bitcoin. So if I start exploring that, and recently I showed ordinals, I do want to have my inscription on the Bitcoin blockchain, but I've not had the means to recently to pay the transaction fees and all that. But in the event that I mint or inscribe my NFTs on Bitcoin, I will need to get Bitcoin because it's now a utility token that you need to be able to complete that transaction. So what about power failures? I don't understand the context for that. Money in the banks in Nigeria is not available to people right now. Who wants to relearn money and currency? Everyday people will be. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. I may not be able to reach the older questions, but I'm reachable my email. Let me show my email. My email is on the screen. I'll show that later. So my email is on the screen. It's uloggerstv@gmail.com. Okay, Bitcoin is alternative. And another thing that is important is, and I think that limits people, the notion that Bitcoin is at the fore of cryptocurrency. So the moment you hear cryptocurrency, you are told of Bitcoin. And many people lose out on Web3, the wider scope of crypto by focusing on Bitcoin, in entirety. And but Bitcoin is just a piece of Web3. It's very broad, so many things to learn, so many resources, so many tools. So there's a tool I wanted to feature that you may want to explore. It gives you access to many codes in crypto that are open source. So you want to build a project, you don't know the code, where to find the code. There's one tool like that, but I can't remember the name. And you can also contribute suggestions. Let's say you want a certain tool, you can submit suggestions to that application, and they will populate the application with that tool. But I can't remember the name. Wow, I can't remember the name. Bitcoin is hard, sound money. Nigeria needs an alternative to the corrupt money system they presently have. True. Will the average citizens of Nigeria be able to access their Bitcoin currency if they have limited access to the internet? Perhaps in the future, because there are applications building to solve internet issues, to be able to, so that people can access the Web3 space without internet. It's getting there, because there are applications where other people can share their internet resources to keep a Web3 application alive and accessible without the internet. One project that is building that, now I just started exploring that project recently, is called so I saw one, it's called Gaga Node. I just started exploring this, so I don't have all the data. I also have a referral link for this, but it's not compulsory to use it. But if you want, you can ask me. But Gaga Node is one of them. Next generation IP plus bandwidth marketplace. Then I saw one recently. It's called Overline. This is another one. And you just need to explore the space. I know that the power about Web3 is the level of innovation. Like, if you don't find something that you need right now, just check back 2 months later and you'll be shocked. It has been built. So you can explore this as well. I just came across it. I've not explored it fully, but so here it says what is OLAND? Digital collectible real estate that correlates to wireless land rights in the real world, forming the first ever wireless metaverse. So if you process this underlinedly, it's trying to build a situation like that. So, the only place something like that can be built, of course, is Web3, because Web 2 is very money centric, centralized, and it's so, even if the knowledge of doing that is possible, it won't be revealed. Now, one thing about Web 3.
All right, I'm back, y'all. I'm back.
Okay, welcome. One thing about Web 3 that is also at the basis for revelation is the cryptocurrency element of things. So knowledge that someone would have hoarded in the past, people now reveal it because they can introduce a cryptocurrency as a reward mechanism. So, for example, if Hive created this social media platform, typically they will not want to open source the code base, because they want to make money out of it. But the moment they know that they can create a cryptocurrency and then make money out of the cryptocurrency, suddenly they can open source the code base. Same thing with the people publishing posts here. Knowledge that they once would have hoarded because of the potential of monetizing that content, because they now know that they can earn from posting it on a blockchain because there is a reward. For example, this person is going to earn, let's say, $109 because there's the potential that they can earn here. They will now reveal information that they once would have hoarded, that they once would not have revealed. Let's say it's a new earning opportunity or knowledge that will benefit the world, that they will keep private on the likes of Facebook because, they don't earn from it. Now on blockchain, you'll see that information being revealed because there is an earning potential. And this crypto is not coming from someone's pocket. It's coming from newly created Hive. So it's just very powerful, the Web3 space. So yes. Now for Gaga node, basically the setup of it, that is very simple. You basically run, you share your PC and internet resources with the rest of the world, something like that. It's still a new evolutionary space, but the database storage, decentralized data and all that is also being built. For example, this is a new application that is coming out. It has not launched its token yet, but it's a good project that will launch its token. And this entire application, fully functional, it's a game, is built and stored on IPFS. So I don't think the person is paying anything to run this application. And this application is going to be adopted. This is currently on testnet and it already has like maybe 50,000 users. I'm not very sure how many users, but fully functional, and it's on IPFS. So this is the luxury of Web3. Most of the things that are paid for, you can get it in Web3 for free. For example, domain names, you may have to pay a recurring payment per year. In Web3, you can suddenly get it, pay once and for all for it, and never pay again, and have ownership of it. So those are some of the luxuries associated with Web3, and it's empowering for Nigeria because all the limitations, money-wise, that affects Nigerians, they can solve it. So I think I'll come back for another stream where we can discuss that, like empowering tools for Nigerians and Africans. So we will talk of every industry that they face limitation. What is a tool in Web3 that solves it? For example, fundraising. You cannot raise funds for your project. You have the best idea. What are the tools available on Web3 that enables you fix that problem? Or you're not a programmer, you have the best idea, you cannot build it. What are the open source projects in that industry, your industry or niche that already exists, ready for you to, set it up and go? Or you are struggling with, you are experiencing censorship. Every time you post content on somewhere, it's either shadow banned or something. What are the alternatives you have? Because this knowledge is powerful. Just the knowledge of it removes restrictions. It's just like you're wearing raggedy clothes, but you have knowledge that you have 100 million in your account. Your carriage is different from someone that doesn't have that knowledge. So I think a stream related to that is very powerful. What are the or an African wants to undertake the AI niche of things, and let's say the current AI based on Web2 infrastructure does not have representation of the African in its answer. What options do you have in Web3 that you can explore that may present that possibility? Like uncovering all those tools is very powerful, and it doesn't exist. And that's something I want to do as well as a project, like an aggregator of empowering tools in Web3 for every niche so that someone can just resource it and be empowered. So that's also a niche that, can be undertaken. Now, if you are looking for an idea in NFT space that an African can easily build and create $1 million venture out of. So one idea that I thought of recently and I don't believe exists is bartering NFTs. So recently I was looking for domain names to buy, and I was try to look for NFT swap, barter, something related to barter. Because there's no much liquidity in NFTs, and barter can solve it. And it's more of an African system. So you have an NFT, you struggle to sell it, but it's a good NFT. You may want to barter it with someone, exchange it. I don't think there's any place like that. And it's a need in the Web3 space. And this is where African come in. It doesn't take much to build these things. I'm not a builder, but I have the ideas. And if someone wanted to build, I'll say, okay, come, even if it's $5,000 budget, come to the Philippines where I'm located for 3 months and it will be built. It's just a matter of getting 3 programmers on a contract basis and paying them per day, then building like a proof of concept, like a basic application. Then if you want to raise funds, you introduce it to the public, introduce a cryptocurrency along with it, or an NFT collection that you can use to raise funds. People will contribute to it because you are using a smart contract to raise funds. People know that you can set a smart contract that dispenses the allocation based on milestones, for example, and they are not contributing directly to you. So on that basis, that's why people can raise funds very easily in crypto. Because of that, in this phase of the ICO, people were a bit reserved because a person just comes out, introduce a project, people contribute directly to him, and then the person runs away. But now it's different. There are also launch pads where you can go apply with your project, especially if you have a proof of concept already. Then the platform incubates you, for example, DAO Maker, and then you raise funds from the platform. So that project, Degen Zoo, is going to raise funds on DAO Maker, and they are attempting to raise. This is around $2 million or so. And look at how much assets have been contributed so far. And even me, I'm part of this. This is a random project. I may not know the project, but will I participate and contribute? The answer is yes, because I know that it's a smart contract based fundraising, for example. So, so here, these are 38,388 participants and total assets 347,722,000. And what is the project? This is the project that I showed you earlier. This is just basically proof of concept. It doesn't have much to it. It's just a unique dual tokenomics that introduces an NFT and a cryptocurrency, and each NFT carries a cryptocurrency. I've done like a video testing this out just to understudy the mechanics of it. And the power of it is just in the unique tokenomics of it, which is exciting, which incentivizes people to get an egg, which is an NFT. And then they need to hatch the egg. But in order to hatch the egg, they need to burn a cryptocurrency. The name of the cryptocurrency is called Dizu. Then you mince the egg. Then the egg gives you an animal that can earn more cryptocurrency. But you can level up the animal by breeding it with another animal, meaning that you need to buy another egg, hatch the egg, then you can breed 2 animals to create a more powerful animal. All these things can be replicated for Africa very easily, and at the same time showcase the power of Africa, the evolutionary power of Africa. You can replicate this, it's open source, and change the dynamics of it. For example, the downfall NFTs, where 2 NFTs are mixed, then another higher level downfall comes into the picture. Now, this project is a replica of a project that failed, that never launched. That project was by Logan Paul. Logan Paul is a popular person. he attempted to build a project called Crypto Zoo that never launched, and he has like a disgruntled audience, for example. Now this project simply took those mechanics, understudied it, and in 30 days they launched this. 30 days in reality. And 30 days they are already attempting to raise funds, and look at how many participants. And there's still 2 days left to apply here. And there are, this may be able to reach 500 million. You don't have these luxuries or possibilities on Web2, especially if you're in Nigeria. But a Nigerian can have this in Web3 without the limitation associated with your geographical location. So it's just a question of what we are doing. I hope that this video excites people enough and incites the viewers to start to look into that direction, like building, because it's possible to become consumers all over again in crypto. And that's when we become quick to say crypto is a scam. When in reality, even if crypto is a scam, we can create our own cryptocurrency without third-party permission and make it a non-scam. So adoption, if Africans adopt crypto, build on it, it will dominate the entire globe. Guaranteed. It's a guarantee. Because suddenly Africans emanate everywhere and they cannot be stopped. They cannot be censored. So these are powerful stuff. Let's maximize it. And me, I'm available and willing, to talk to, like I said, I had 60 Google Meets in a week. And many of them are strangers, like many of them are strangers from the West, basically. So, but I'm always available. And yes, so you can reach out to me. My email is on the screen. And that's about it. So let me just quickly check the chat room and then.
No problem. Thank you, Terry. We appreciate you, and we appreciate your valuable information.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And Dynas, I don't know if you are here when I mentioned that this was on IPFS, this application. Like.
Yeah, I was here.
Okay, you're here. Okay. I want to quickly look at the comments. Okay, this is it. So apologies if I wasn't able to tend to the comments or questions. You can always reach out to me. And also visit my channel, uloggers TV. Okay, we're here in the West to scam. That's right, to make it known. Why didn't Crypto Zoo launch? I don't know the details. There's so much coverage on it. But I think the token, they raised money or something, but the game never launched. I don't know. But I don't usually dwell on that. It's a learning experience, all those things. And it just gives you insight into what's missing and what we can build. So, and I don't see losses in an experimental ecosystem. So I can't say I've ever lost in crypto. That is according to me. Because it's experimental altogether, and I don't think there can be a loss in something that is in a state of evolution. I give it a benefit of the doubt and assume that it has the capacity of evolving from a scam, for example, to a non-scam. And it has happened in crypto. There are many projects that started out with scammy intentions and they ended up sticking around, becoming a solid project. I've seen many of them like that because they ended up seeing the value in crypto. Crypto has a mentality adjusting paradigm to it. You start out with a certain intention and then you see, oh, wow, this thing. Because if, for example, you see you can create the money, then you see scamming becomes negligible, petty, basically. I see many people scamming, even many Nigerians, they scam in crypto, reality. And I talk to them when they approach me in the chat on Telegram, for example. I know they are Nigerians. I know who Nigerians are, even in every aspect, the terminologies, the way they use the punctuations, everything. But do I quickly block them? that is a Web 2 way. That is not an African way. I use that as an avenue to exercise my human virtues, so that I'm not as predictable and caged within the paradigm of a Boolean, which is downvote or block and blacklist or whitelist, stuff like that. So I talk to them, and they quickly see the value in, because scamming becomes petty in the crypto realm, and I talk to them in the chat, and they respond, they'll end up saying, brother, that there is value to what you have said. Because if you're in crypto, you'll end up seeing that scam there's nothing interesting to it. It's just petty, and it will no longer be avoiding scam on the basis of morality, which today is associated with good or bad. There will now be other stumbling blocks to not scamming beyond the jurisdiction of good or bad. One being the pettiness of it. When you enter the world of innovation in Web3, you say, oh, this is petty, all this scamming stuff. So you evolve past it. So I always give room for that. And that's my own mindset. So when I see a scammy project, it doesn't make me retreat away from crypto or call it a scam. Me in particular, I just see it as an avenue to create something that is powerful. So I've looked at many projects, many scams, I know. And that's another video we can do, Dynast, which is very powerful, because people also lose a lot of money when they venture into crypto. So the scam methods, for example, on Wode Meyer's channel, there was one macro strategy there that was posting.
Yeah, that was Michael Saylor. That's when his page got hacked, and I don't know why. For some reason, they were posting Michael Saylor.
Yes, but I did a video 2 or 3 years ago of that particular scam.
Right. Because yeah. So what they do, they put their Bitcoin address.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Then they put the video of maybe Elon Musk talking, as if Elon Musk is doing a giveaway. Then the landing page is a page where at the bottom you'll be seeing many dummy transactions, as if people are actually giving away and getting a return. So they do that a lot, and you'll see many of the people that cover the subject, they are not aware of those scams. And then so that can be another topic, the different types of scams in Web3, because the scams there are more advanced than the regular ones, more advanced. So that can also be a topic, because of course it will save many. So that topic, as well as the topic of the tools the empowering tools available in Web3 available for Web2. Empowering tools available in Web3 that everyone can access. Another topic also is like incorporating Web3 into existing projects. So as an avenue to expand the project. And so there are many topics. Then we can also do one where we brainstorm ideas for, different projects. Ideas that maybe have not been created and all that. Because, Nigeria, Africa is a virgin area when it comes to any project. If you target Africa, you build a truly African project, you are bound to make billions of money, because there are many things that don't exist there that you can serve. So that can be another topic again. And yes, so thank you very much. Kaim Guiloim Arnetta Williams, thank you for joining.
Yes, sir.
This results, not let anyone tell us what we can do. Calvin Maki, thank you as well. Yes. Okay, so Dynast, thank you very much.
Yeah, we appreciate you, brother. Thank you for joining.
Yes. So, do you have any closing words?
No, just thank you for coming. You're always welcome.
Okay.
We'll do another show soon. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Make sure you go to Loggers TV. Our brother, You know, our brother Terry is very valuable. Everyone, please go
Yes.
to Loggers TV. Thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family. Dynasty Mirror, search for Uhuru. Peace.
Okay. Bye bye.